Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Welcome to Southwest Desert, where we explore the fascinating lives that shape the American Southwest. Imagine facing down a desperate highwayman with a gun to your head. What would you do? For Major A.J. Jim Doran, this wasn't just a hypothetical scenario. His response? A cool smile and a statement that would become legendary in Arizona territory. Well, if you're going to shoot, shoot. But first, let me tell you something. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. This wasn't bravado. It was the calculated response of a man who had faced down vigilante mobs, pursued dangerous stagecoach bandits, and transformed one of the richest silver mines in Arizona territory. And that's just the beginning of his story. Today, we're diving deep into the remarkable life of Major A.J. Jim Doran, a man whose career reads like a carefully crafted adventure novel, but whose exploits were very much real. From military commander to mining superintendent, from fearless sheriff to territorial legislator, Doran's life embodied the very essence of the American frontier spirit. The story of Arizona territory in the mid-1800s is really the story of three distinct groups of pioneers, each drawn by different dreams and aspirations. First came the agricultural settlers, hardy farmers, and ambitious cattle ranchers seeking new lands to tame. They faced the harsh desert climate with determination, carving out homesteads and ranches from the unforgiving landscape. Then there were the miners, their eyes gleaming with dreams of striking it rich. They came seeking bonanza treasures, following rumors of silver veins and gold deposits hidden in Arizona's rugged mountains. These were men willing to risk everything on the chance of a lucky strike. Finally, there were the military men, manning frontier forts across the territory. Their responsibilities were crucial and multifaceted. They protected settlers from Indian attacks, created vital routes across the vast territory, and, when the Civil War erupted, defended the Union against Confederate forces pushing into the Southern Territory. Many of these soldiers, having experienced the unique appeal of Arizona during their service, chose to make it their permanent home after their discharge. Others left, but found themselves drawn back years later, unable to resist the territory's siren call. Jim Doran's Arizona story begins in 1862, when he arrived as part of the California Column under the command of Colonel James H. Carleton, who would later become a general. Their primary mission was clear: remove Confederate troops who had established control over the Southern Territory. Doran distinguished himself in several key engagements, including the 10th skirmish at Stanwick Station and the historically significant battle at Picacho Peak. But Doran's initial Arizona chapter was brief. The following 14 years saw him building an impressive resume in California and Utah. He became deeply involved in mining operations, but his most significant achievements came in railroad construction. Doran helped complete the first transcontinental railroad, participating in the historic ceremony at Promontory, Utah, where the eastern and western rails were finally joined. His engineering expertise led him to construct the first railroad turntable in San Francisco, a technical achievement that showcased his innovative thinking. It was silver, however, that would ultimately draw Doran back to Arizona in 1876, and here's where our tale takes an extraordinary turn. The story of the Silver King mine begins with a twist of fate and a trooper named Sullivan. While cutting a trail near Camp Pinhall, Sullivan, exhausted from his work, took a rest on what seemed like an ordinary small hill. But as he sat there, he noticed unusual black rock fragments scattered around him. When he attempted to break them, something strange happened. Instead of shattering like normal rocks, they flattened. This peculiar characteristic would prove to be a telltale sign of silver ore. Intrigued, Sullivan gathered samples and took them to Florence, where he showed them to Charles G. Mason. Mason's experienced eye confirmed what Sullivan had suspected. They were looking at chloride of silver. But before Sullivan could stake his claim to what would become one of Arizona's richest silver strikes, he vanished without a trace. Some believed he'd fallen victim to an Apache raid, while others speculated he simply couldn't relocate the site. Mason, recognizing the potential wealth at stake, organized a four-man search party. Over several years, he conducted periodic searches, refusing to give up on finding the silver deposit. The mine's eventual discovery came through an almost mythical stroke of luck, the tracking of a lost white mule. The animal was found standing on a reddish hill, and that hill was covered with the same black-silver outcropping Sullivan had discovered years before. The Silver King mine would go on to produce over $7 million in silver before declining after the repeal of the Sherman Silver Purchasing Act. But perhaps the most remarkable chapter in the mine story came in 1907, when Sullivan himself reappeared. Now an elderly man, he sought work at the very mine he had discovered. The owners confirmed his identity, and Sullivan finally revealed the truth behind his long absence. He had needed to reach California but never managed to save enough money for the return journey. The company, recognizing their debt to this forgotten discoverer, added him to their payroll and provided for his care in his final years. Doran's connection to the Silver King mine began when he was appointed as its second superintendent, following Charles Mason's tenure. His combined military experience and railroad construction management made him the perfect choice for the role. The mine faced significant challenges at the time. Ore theft by miners had become a serious problem, and a general lack of discipline threatened operations. Doran addressed these issues with the same decisive leadership he'd shown in his military career, removing problematic miners and restoring operational efficiency. But it was Doran's next role that would truly test his mettle and cement his legend in Arizona territory. Pinal County in the 1880s was a lawless frontier, controlled by gamblers and whiskey men. Robberies and murders were commonplace, and the previous sheriff had proven ineffective in maintaining order. The citizens, impressed by Doran's success at the Silver King mine, requested his appointment as sheriff. One of his most notable cases was the complex Redfield Ranch investigation of 1882 to 1883. It began with two brutal stage robberies, the first between Bisbee, Tombstone, and Tucson, where $14,000 was stolen and a man killed, leaving only torn book pages as evidence. The second occurred on the Florence Globe route, with $1,000 in gold and $2,000 in silver taken, again with a fatality. Doran's investigation led him on a 75-mile pursuit to Redfield Ranch, where he discovered damning evidence: the murder weapon, a shotgun, a stolen mail sack, the hidden $14,000, and even the missing book from the previous robbery. He arrested rancher Redfield and an accomplice, uncovering an extensive criminal network in the process. But the case was far from over. A vigilante committee, fearing Redfield's wealth would buy his freedom, demanded the prisoners be handed over for hanging. Doran stood firm, refusing to surrender them and pledging to ensure a fair trial in Florence. The situation escalated when U.S. Marshal Evans arrived with 9 gunmen and a Chief Justice's order for Redfield. Again, Doran refused to comply, calling on citizens to guard the jail. When the prisoners were found hanged, Doran handled the situation with remarkable strategic thinking. He offered to deliver Redfield's body and got the marshal to note this offer on the warrant. When summoned to Phoenix by Judge Penny, Doran presented his evidence of the crimes and the case was dismissed. But perhaps the most cinematically dramatic moment in Doran's career came on October 5, 1895, during what should have been a routine stagecoach journey from Florence to Casa Grande. As the lone passenger, Doran found himself facing a masked highwayman who demanded his money, a $10 gold piece and $4 his valise, and the mail sack. Doran played it cool, only revealing his $50 and refusing to open his valise or cut the mail sack. What followed was a 20-minute struggle for the gun, which the robber ultimately won. Even with a gun to his head, Doran maintained his legendary composure, delivering the cool response we opened our story with. The highwayman was later identified as Francisco Reyna, scion of a wealthy Sonoran family who had left home after a family dispute. He received a life sentence at Alcatraz, later transferred to San Quentin. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Doran, showing remarkable compassion, intervened with President Roosevelt himself, helping to get Reyna's sentence reduced to 12 years. After his release, Reyna and Doran actually shared a reunion dinner in Los Angeles before Reyna returned to Mexico, where he became a lieutenant colonel in the Mexican Federal Army. Doran's contributions to Arizona Territory extended far beyond his law enforcement exploits. In Pinal County, he oversaw the construction of both the old and new courthouses, as well as a local school. His political career was equally impressive. He was elected 5 times to the territorial legislature, holding multiple leadership positions. One of his most lasting achievements was helping create the Pioneers' Home in Prescott, a testament to his commitment to caring for Arizona's aging pioneers. It was fitting that he would serve as its first superintendent and live there until his death, surrounded by fellow pioneers who had helped build the territory. Like the rich metal ore that drew so many to Arizona Territory, Major A.J. Jim Doran's life proved to be full of surprising depths and valuable elements. From military service to mining superintendent, from sheriff to legislator, he helped shape Arizona during its crucial developmental years. His story reminds us that the American frontier was built not just on gold and silver, but on the character and determination of pioneers who weren't afraid to stand their ground and fight for what they believed was right. In many ways, Doran's life paralleled the very silver ore he once managed. On the surface, it might have seemed like just another frontier story, but beneath that exterior lay remarkable qualities that would prove invaluable to the territory's development. He was tested by Arizona from his military entry onward, and like the territory's precious metals, he proved his worth time and time again. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for this episode of Southwest Desert. Until next time, remember, history isn't just about dates and facts. It's about the remarkable individuals who shaped our nation, one brave decision at a time. Check out my large Southwest video and playlist catalog on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.